there, friends. I'm going to have some fun today. All right. Okay. I'm an hour early. I'm not even going to do anything today in History Reset. I'm going to have a little fun and talk about clothing styles and apparel for the elderly. Okay. Because I'm elderly. I'm 76. I qualify to talk about attire for the elderly. Now, let me take you back, okay, to the 40s when everybody wore short skirts. And then in the 50s, the skirts came down. And for a nice occasion, you wore a dress. Okay, that's the way it was when I was growing up. In fact, my grandmother, I never saw her in anything but a dress. Even when she was 91, she was still always corseted and in a dress. All right. And these are different times. One of the things that's happening to our generation now is the literal expansion of obesity. So many of us are technically obese. And I agree, I am too. I gained 10 pounds with each of my pregnancies, and I weigh the same now that I did after Stephen was born 34 years ago. Okay. Not a pound over, not a pound less. Okay. It just sticks. Now, what we can do, there are some processes we can address and confront in order to deal with obesity. All right. We can detoxify the liver, which is a matter of fasting and the use of blessed thistle herb to get the liver to adapt to less food. Okay. We can get into food combining, the original Mosaic laws, what you eat together and what you don't eat together. You don't have milk and meat together. You don't combine proteins, and you keep your foods separate and you only eat one thing at a time. Okay, that's one strategy for cutting down, cutting back, and learning not to eat the way our society does, which is two-handed eating everything at once. Okay. And of course, there's exercise. And in my case, what I exercise mostly is my job. My job. Okay. That's what I exercise mostly. But being stuck with some extra weight has an effect on what we can wear, particularly when our body shape has more in common with a fire plug than it does with an hourglass. And that's just the whole right and wrong of it. Now, here on YouTube, there are all kinds of people to help us with style. I've watched Justine from Paris, and I've watched School of Affluence, and the young ladies who are playing with actually living in clothes that they made from the Victorian style, the Edwardian style, not so much the flapper, because flapper is kind of perceived to be sloppy. Okay, but the era of the corset is back. All right. If you look for shapewear at Penny's, there are all kinds of shapewear to help take the rotund back to a somewhat hourglass shape. And so that is affecting what we look like in our skirts and our pants and our dresses. What we want to look like, of course, is another issue. Whom are we copying? Are we copying Vogue magazine? Are we copying Playboy or that whole ideal? Are we copying what our family does or did? What our church does or did? What's popular online? Who defines who we are? Who our soul wants to look like? Now, there are people who operate and make decisions on the basis of their soul definition of who they are. And there are people who decide based on what they think other people want them to look like. Okay. And in my case, I'm an old woman. Nobody sees me. I can dress any way I like. If I wanted to, if I had the money, I could dress for a Victorian ball gown every single day. You know, my grandmother, Chai, she dressed the same way from the time I was born in 1944 till she died in 1970. She always dressed the way she always dressed. She never changed it. She was always corseted. She always wore a dress. I never saw her in pants, let alone a bathing suit. Okay. So for us old women, old people, I don't see too many old men cross-dressers. Okay. Lately, okay. Once we get past the issue of shape, which is, are we more like a fire plug or more like an hourglass? Then we have to deal with comfort versus appearance, because there seems to be some kind of inverse relationship between comfort and appearance. If you're comfortable, you look like a slob. And if you really are stylish, you're miserable. Is that how it's supposed to be? Somehow, it seems to me that has been the norm all along. They just haven't told us that having a dress that's both stylish and flattering and comfortable is in of itself a problem. Okay. Unless you're used to wearing a corset. All right. What I notice about the clothes that are available at the price that I like to pay is that comfort is almost the sole criterion by which clothes are marketed at my class of people. It's all about comfort. And as a result, the outcome is that the people I know of and interact with and see my age in the community all look like slobs and dress like slobs. And that's what brought this up for me, that I don't want to do that. My soul says, I am not a slob. My home is not sloppy. I'm not sloppy. I don't want to look sloppy. So how do I get past the marketing of sloppy clothes to the population in general, but as a convenience to the older among us? All right. And so the first thing I had to do to confront this whole problem was to get my first and only corset. Okay. It's on its way, and I'm going to start wearing a corset because I don't like looking like a fire plug. I'd rather look like an hourglass. All right. And then I've got to find the clothes that work with that. I only own a half a dozen dresses to my name. What, in this days of a universal pandemic, who has so many social engagements on your social calendar that you need to have a working wardrobe of attire for social prominence? That doesn't exist now. We're home, and we're trying to keep up a measure of dignity in our home life and look in the mirror and not just see fire plugs dressed like a slob. All right. Now, what I notice today I'm wearing my hair in the usual stylish way, and that is hanging. Everybody wears their hair hanging. Newscasters wear hair hanging. The first lady wears her hair hanging. The daughters of the president wear their hair hanging. The British monarchy, they're hanging. Everybody wears their hair hanging. I'm wondering whether this style is appropriate for an old lady to wear my hair hanging. This I'm going to have to get some feedback about, because hair hanging is wraps around my neck and it has to be combed constantly, and I'd rather tie it up. But today I'm stylish. I'm wearing my hair hanging. Keeping the hair in good condition is a primary problem. As you get older, it just tends to fall out, you know. And so you have to doctor the hair that you have on your head to keep it going. And with more androgen in the body postmenopausal, you have more hair hairs where you don't want them. So you have to be more studious about taking care of the hairs you don't want, and more studious about taking care of the hairs you do want. And that's part of being old. All right. So I'm saying being old is a mixed blessing. People have fewer expectations of old people. And so if we want, we can get real sloppy and nobody cares. But my soul says, no, 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 no. We're not going to go there. We're not going to be sloppy old. The house is going to be orderly. The bed's going to be made. And when I go anywhere, I'm going to have a measure of dignity, because dignity is a hard-won characteristic or attribute nowadays. Dignity is very hard-won. It's not praised much. It's not even acknowledged much. Being old has the advantage of long years of experience of what worked and what didn't work, what worked out for everybody, what only worked out for the few, who won, who lost, and what methods brought the outcomes that we want to see. And I just am noticing that education today does not teach civil methods. It does not teach dignity. It does not teach the postponement of satiety. It does not teach problem solving. Education today is based on the Frankfurt School and Saul Alinsky and the Marxist method of just destroying and tearing everything down. And teachers teach the Commie Core curriculum completely oblivious to the outcomes that they are creating in the minds of our children and younger generation. I don't know. Are teachers today some of the most blinded, dogmatic, intolerant human beings on our world, that they don't know how to teach virtue, to teach how to wait graciously to take your turn? I don't know. But what I can say is, at the age I can say, my next birthday, I'll be 77, I'm pushing 80. There's a measure of dignity that I am seeking to achieve, not only in the social sphere, but in the idea sphere. And that takes some dignity, and that takes the appearance of dignity. So that's what I'm working for. And I hope you'll find, I know not many of my audience are in my age bracket. Not many in my generation are OCD in the internet department. All right, so that makes me kind of strange. But being strange is part of being older, when you have a set of values that are uncharacteristic of the generation you're in. And that's what is what is. As Steve says on How to Hunt, you know, what is what is. And so this is what we're doing today, is setting out appearance standards for the elderly. And there it is. Let me know how you like it. Subscribe or hit the bell or whatever you want to do about it. We'll see you. This is Emily. Bye-bye.